Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Pullze Check podcast, guys. Listen, we just got finished with around like 8 days, 10 days of like 12, 15, 18-hour streams. It's been insane. You know, this man over here to my, if you guys look at this, to my bottom left, you know, this guy qualified. This guy's fucking the king of EU right now. The man over there in the top left, he smells. The guy up here, nah, their team went rogue. I ain't gonna lie. Ebatez team, bro. Hey, Dandro, were you doing like any type of? Oh, you were on the Codcaster, right? You were podcasting a lot of it.
Yeah, not a lot of it. We watched some of it, finals. But I casted EU.
Okay. Cast EU, and then me and my boy Krinkz, we've been doing insane amount of watch parties, locking it in. So today's topic of discussion, man, is all EWC and everything that involves, everything that brings. We're going to talk about qualifiers, spots per region. That one should be spicy. We have, surprise quals, who didn't qual, LAN format, et cetera, et cetera. We got a lot of things to discuss today. But boys, before we get started, I guess, talk to me, man. FIFA, how you feeling, bro? You qualified at the top of your region, just absolutely just... belt to ass the lobby.
Oh, yeah. Belt to ass for real.
How you feeling, man?
Lem was given some real belt to ass.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, Len was.
Nah, I can't lie, bro. Like, going into this year, we didn't really... that wasn't our map, right? When we first played the few, tester runs for the team, we were getting fucking slammed. And to see the difference now between then was just insane, bro. Like, how much you can actually improve if you're doing the right shit and, really trying to improve critically is insane. Because, even now, I think we're much better as a big map team. But the fact we came out and just smoked everyone, and then we got teams like Enkyo and them struggling, that was sick, bro. I can't lie.
Bro, speaking on that, boys, we might be jumping around a little bit on topics, but I feel like we should just talk about it as they come, right? And not let it be too organized, I guess. But, bro, Enkyo and them, they were considered... the best damn team in EU for a while now, and I'm not kidding. If Eisen had a decent game, Gentlemates would not have qualified, and that's crazy to fucking say. Gentlemates got 7th place, and if Eisen just had a decent game, they would not be going to LAN.
Yeah. That is insane.
It was literally, we were watching it because we were talking about it. It was like if they didn't get zone pull, they just looked like they literally had no plan on how they wanted to play the rest of the map. And that's just all it was. Like when they got, because they were landing Stronghold, when they got Stronghold, man, they were doing great. I'm watching the feed and Hollow is just picking people off with an HDR. He's just pulling the Soka, right? And just, it's like, okay, cool. You literally just stole the Falcons playbook. But then when they are getting forced over to bio, they're just getting caught living quarters or control or these random areas. And it was I think of the 8 games, I think 4 or 5 of them were like that. And it was just they're taking weird fights and cut on down. Dude, I was super worried because I was right there with you. And then when I were hey, if Aizen just has one good game, we could very much see the Gentlemates not qual. And fortunately, they were able to clutch it on up. But it was, dude, I was right there with you. I was I expected them to do what Thief did. Going into that, but then,
I know Enigma was fucking terrified. I know he was
Well, that's the thing, bro. Going into the last game, obviously we were in a very, very strong position, and we kind of thought in our heads, all right, we can actually, try and make something crazy happen here. And we did float the idea of landing on them, because there was a couple times in scrims we landed Stronghold and gave them, short games to win, Twitter tournaments or whatever. But at the end of the day, we actually didn't, we weren't too fussed about them not qualling. They're also, our boys, so it's, kind of fucked, but... We ended up trying to go for, Vision in them. Because we really wanted them out.
Just don't kill Anchor, no troll.
No, but Enkyo and them aren't really our problem, you know what I mean? They're the other side of the map from us. We're not too concerned about that,
Yeah.
Whereas, Vision and them, they actually push us all the time. So for us, it was we either wanted to wipe Fnatic or ROC, because they're teams that actually do like to contest us a lot.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No, that does make sense of why you guys would. And that's what I thought. Even Gentlemates, I brought up the question when the tournament actually happened, right? And I was like, okay, look, 3 teams are qualling no matter what. That's FIFA, that's NIP, and who was the 3rd team? Was it Vortex and them? I forgot which who was
yeah.
Decky. Oh,
Decky. Yeah, the M3, and I was like, okay, quite literally, Gentlemates is going to be a contender at LAN. I would assume so, right? And they could potentially not qual here. Is anybody going to land on them? Like last game, and nobody did, but they still had a chalk game. Even then, like, you know, even with that, they only had like 4 points at last game. So I was confused why nobody landed them, because I mean, I would think that people want to get them out, but I understand why you didn't land on them and why you wanted to get what's called Rock in them, Rock Esports.
Well, yeah, bro, it was crazy because Fnatic, Rock, and them were all on the cusp, right? But NQ's team had never, ever been a problem for us. So it was like, why would we go for them when there's 2 other teams that literally annoy us every tourney?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this.
I get it. Like this, yeah. This is crazy, dude. This is crazy.
Have you got a scoreboard from before the last game?
We probably don't have it like off the top of the dome right now. Remember, everything, I don't know if you know this or not, but it was like chalked. Like scores and all that shit was chalked like throughout the whole week.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was really bad. We didn't have anything.
Because I remember seeing the scoreboard going into the last game, and it was like, bro, ROC were out, Gentlemates were like on the edge, Fnatic were out. It was insane, bro.
It was so damn close, bro.
Well, that was...
Fnatic
was out like two to three games before that, and we were like, oh, damn. Fnatic might not make it, nor Gentlemates, or Rock. Yeah. And that was kind of insane.
Yeah. Well, bro, the thing with Fnatic was in scrims, they just pushed us over and over and over, and it was giving us both short games. Because it was like, our options were either just like turtle up in chem and just like wait for them to push, and then we don't do anything. And then they couldn't push us if we're turtled up, so we would both do nothing. And then like, I think they realized after we like gave them belt to ass the first 3 games, they had like no points. They're like, all right, we'll go industry, you guys go harbor. Like, not like, you know, no teaming agreements, but it's just... It makes no sense for them to push us because just
I see. Yeah. Like,
well, on our side, the way
No, go ahead.
On our side, the way it looked like Fnatic was losing the fights versus you guys, and then you also had team Ninjas in the Pajamas pushing 2 bios and just pretty much cycling them.
Yeah, exactly. But they put themselves in the cycle pushing us, because if we want to just sit in chem, it's so hard to push, bro. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Like it only works if I get left on my own, but if we know they're going to do that, they're not going to leave me on my own. So it's just like, what are we doing, bro?
I mean, bro,
it was like...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to give Fnatic some credit because they were also like game 5, game 6, like... We were like, are they even going to qual? Because they were either landing factory to Chow Deki or landing over on bio, which then to Thief's point, like, they were landing bio to get immediately sandwiched by Nip or Thief in them. So it's like, okay, have fun. I don't know how you're going to play out of there. Like, where do you rotate? You're just getting straight up farm the entire time. But, I mean, to have ice like that, which is something we should talk about probably with some of the other regions, but, like, to have a strategy of changing your drop spot depending where zone goes is something that maybe a couple other teams should have had in their back pocket. And so the fact that they're able to have that strategy to then also be able to qual and also not only just like scrape by, but I mean, to get 5th, I mean, they're kind of right smack in the middle between those top 4 and then the bottom 2 that are there. So I think I want to give them the credit they deserve for kind of like icing up and making sure that they did qual when they kind of were getting thrown into the blender no matter where they dropped.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're going to go over this right now. We're going to go over this right now. Let's kind of go over the qualifiers, right? Like we jumped a little bit ahead to the finals. Let's talk about the qualifiers itself. And, you know, we have casters in here, competitors, coach, right? And I want y'all's opinion. What is y'all's thoughts on the qualifiers, on EWC qualifiers? What could be changed? What can be improved? And then also, if you guys like it, I personally do like it, right? How would this look like in BR? Look at that cute ass dog in the back. Sorry, ADHD. With a little bow and everything, man. But anyways, like, I would love, me personally, I'll just start off real quick to get it over with. I love these quals. I think there's maybe a couple little tweaks, a couple little changes that they could do, but I fucking love these quals. It was a max fucking dope, and I think it was way better than the open qual system. Even that, like, I don't know. That's my opinion. I get maybe, you know, caster, coach, you know, player have a different opinion. All right, Krinkz, what did you think before they get into it? Did you like the quals? I personally fucking loved it.
I did. I enjoyed the quals, but I do think when it came to like the finals, I think if they would have spaced it out a little bit more, or a little bit more organized, it seemed like it was just so right away, like boom, boom, boom. Or like even like the quals, it felt like they were all stacked up, and then like we were just all there, all over the place. Instead of like making it like, okay, one day is you, one day is NA, and then we have like have it a little bit more organized.
I think that was the biggest thing from a like viewers perspective. Maybe the competitors, you guys didn't notice this too much, but from a strictly viewers perspective, it was pretty bad. Like there was not a lot of scoreboards. They were being like map 1 scores weren't being submitted until like map 3 was done, and like it was everywhere. There was no direct sheet for people to watch. Like it was just a bad viewer experience until the finals. In the finals, they made sure, okay, they let you guys know what the scores were after, like once they were before the game actually started, right? So I think they can. It's their first year. I'm gonna give them some slack, right, with that, and because they made, dude. We'll talk about it right now, but they made so many adjustments, and I cannot tip my hat off more to the EWC team because they actually made so many good fucking changes. Yeah. So I personally loved it. Now, FIFA, talk to me, man. Did you like the quals as a strictly competitor from that perspective? What did you think about the quals?
As a competitor, I thought it was sick. I think sometimes it got a little bit confusing with like the actual formats. Like we didn't know randomly if teams dropped out, somebody would be like, oh, we're gonna do a full group switch. You've been sitting there scheming like, oh, we're gonna land here, this team's landing here, and you're trying to do like, you know, your homework, and then last minute apparently all the teams switched, and there was no pattern to it that we could work out to try and figure out who was in our group. So it's like you're trying to think of strats and stuff, and then all of a sudden, you know, you got 3 teams that land bio landing next to us. We're like, how did that just happen, bro? What? So that was that. I think from a competitive standpoint, that was kind of annoying. I think the other thing that I think a lot of people will complain about is kind of like an inconsistency with like rule enforcement.
Okay.
So like randomly some guy has his screen hidden for 2 maps. And it's like, oh, well, it's the first time he did it, he'll get a warning. And then the next day, someone hides their screen for 5 minutes, and oh, it's the first time as a warning. And that was a little inconsistent. And then there was a moment where one guy got a -3 points for killing someone with an impact grenade. And then someone else got -3 points for throwing a gas grenade outside the map because he didn't want to accidentally throw it at a person. It's like, those 2 things aren't the same.
Yeah,
like
they're different.
And everyone would agree with that, but that team literally didn't qual because of that. I think it's quite a niche example, but it's just something they could, like, you know, work on for the future. And then the only other thing I'd comment on other than that, and this was like kind of from a competitive standpoint, but also as a viewer, the NA and the EU like times were offset so much that like EU would finish and it's like, when's the NA one? 5 hours later. I didn't even watch the NA ones because I was like, damn, bro, I just played for 4 hours. There's no way. I'm off.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to see what my comp's doing and like see what strats people are doing, you know, take things in. But I mean, that's crazy, bro. 5 hour wait is insane.
I mean, I do think they got, maybe next time they find a way to make it like, you know, again, I don't know if this was just because I don't think it was last minute, but you know, like they didn't expect, this is the first time they've ever done this type of qual, right? Maybe they spread it out a little bit, even like, hey, today is EU, tomorrow is this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like tomorrow's NA, like, right? For us, I mean, just imagine us. We were fucking, we would go there and they're like, all right, boys, what time is it? All right, we got 4 hours. Let's fucking play FIFA for a couple hours. Then we have Latam South playing. Then while Latam South is playing, we got Mina. Like, so it was everywhere, bro. Yeah.
Wasn't Mina and EU at the same time at one point?
So Mina was like an hour before y'all a lot of the times.
Yeah,
and so we were just kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, I was like keeping tabs on them mid games, trying to see who was qualing. Like, I don't know. I always find it weird when they do that.
Yeah. So I don't know if like, I guess their goal, at least it seems like, wasn't to have people spectate. Because remember, which I'm glad, again, I'm going to continue to glaze EWC here. Originally, you weren't required to stream at all. Like, it wasn't required to stream at all. Like, they didn't care whether people watched or not. Like, and then, you know, we gave some feedback and they took everything and actually implemented I would say every single thing that we gave them feedback on. So that's probably why I hope that next year that, you know, maybe they spread it out a little bit better. And then maybe make it a little bit easier for people to spectate. Maybe, you know, face it, admins can be a little bit more consistent. But again, first year, it does. Like, I would say the biggest L was Team Ikwata and Gorka, and throwing that
that was
American or whatever.
But the fact they traveled like out of the country to go and like play. But at the same time, Igorka sniped me in the back from across the map yesterday, so screw him, bro.
That's crazy. All right.
Repullze.
Ebatez, talk, man, as a coach, you know, from obviously you wanting your players to succeed at the highest level, which they did, right? Talk talk to me, Ebatez. What did you think about the qualifiers and just anything that should be changed? Talk to me.
Yeah.
What did you like?
I know you covered it a little bit, but I think initially, like when I heard about the qualifiers being 2 games, no streams required, I was like, yo, we're fucked. Like I literally was like, yo, 1 bad game and like it's jeopardizing like any good team that had a chance of not making it. So if they didn't change like the rule set, this would be a completely different LAN lobby. And I know I think the admins after the tournament, because I was like, if they didn't change the 2-game rule with the streams required, there would have been so many good teams that just would not have made it. Like any team could have showed up, had 1 bad game, and they were out of it. Like we could have had a bad game where we got aimbotted and there was no streams required, and we just wouldn't have made it to LAN. So before that, I was like, oh, we're cooked. But luckily, FACEIT made like all the changes that you guys asked. Like I said, I think the 4 games minimum was great. The whole qualifier process was pretty grueling. I put out a tweet, after I was like the whole process itself, like was pretty stressful. From a player, even somebody I wasn't even playing and I was still like sitting there like, dude, this is intense. So any team that did make it through, like definitely deserved to be there because the whole qualifier process in general was just super, super stressful. But I don't think they could have done qualifiers any better. I think, like you said, I mean, there was a couple, bad admin calls, which I feel like is to be expected with any kind of tournament, especially this many games and this many different admins going on. I mean, one or 2 bad calls was kind of expected, so it's unfortunate for the teams that got like those really bad decisions, like the gas grenade, for example. But right. I mean, in general, I think that the whole qualifier process was pretty smooth. They got lobby started fairly quickly. There was no like insane huge delays. Really like from a spectator perspective and like also just kind of understanding like what was going on, I really can't complain. I feel like FACEIT did a really good job. So with everything like that. Yeah, there's my tweet. It was just, dude, yeah, like I said, any team, like obviously this is easily the hardest qualifier any team, any player has ever gone through. Like World Series of Warzone has never been this like demanding. So any team that made it deserves all the credit because like this shit was not easy. If you made it through, it was not easy. And also any team that was super, super close shouldn't be discouraged that like, oh shit, we didn't make it. Like we're ass, blow up the team. Like I'm quitting Warzone. Like if you didn't make it, it's not the end of the world because at the end of the day, I will say this tournament was incredibly tough. And I just think that's like, again, as competitors, obviously you want to be the best and always want to make it to a final and a LAN especially. But at the same time, like trying to be, the light at the end of the tunnel, it's not the end of the world. Like I really do believe that there was a lot of really good players and teams that they just didn't make it. And it's okay. So,
I mean, dude, you compare that to World Series of Warzone quals and I'm not to say that qualifying for World Series of Warzone is easy, but like you compare 7 spots to
a lot more
21. Yeah, you're gonna have maybe not as good teams making it into the 21, but top 7 is definitely like it was rough. But yeah, Dandro, talk to me. Man. What did you think about it all?
I loved it. I loved that we just had like nonstop action throughout the entire time. I definitely agree with you. Like there were a lot of times I was trying to figure out like who was playing when and what were the groups and like just trying to keep up. And I can be honest with you, like I can tell you from a back end side, I know I don't think they expected that. I think they expected people to care about their region and not everybody to care about all regions that were going on. So that's actually like really cool. I think as a Warzone community that we care about all the regions and we know the teams who are kind of competing and stuff like that. So I think that was a sort of like a net positive that like, yes, it sucked to not know, but I think they now realize that. I agree with Ethan. I think having the 4 games, like I think it really showed like who should get there. The only thing that I would like to see is and I can tell you from a back end standpoint, roster lock was originally supposed to be, so these quals were originally supposed to happen on May 15th, and roster lock was that same day that closed quals was. And then obviously we moved closed quals and roster lock didn't move. That was there. So I would have loved to see, potentially in the future, I know Fif, we were talking about this in your chat. I would almost like to see roster lock be the day after closed qualifiers because it would kind of make more sense for orgs to like protect their investment and pick up teams who do qualify rather than kind of like take a gamble where we see, orgs like, I'm just using them as an example, like BDS, right? Sign them and they don't even get to qual to EWC that's there. And it's like, okay, well, that's like not really a great use of your funds if you are an org. So I think some of that stuff would have been cool to kind of like see shake out. I think, for people like, obviously Fif's team and stuff like that, like these really solid teams who looked great through qualifiers. Okay, now you have all of this stat line and actual VOD and footage of them performing as the best in their region. Great. Right. Those should be the teams that get picked up, kind of moving forward. Not this like, I mean, granted, if you're an org, you should take a gamble. If you think that there's a team that will qual and you want to make that gamble early, absolutely go for it. But I think that teams should also be allowed to kind of wait it out to see if there's anybody, because then if for an org, it kind of becomes like that risk versus reward of, hey, if we wait too long, all the good teams could be taken away, but we could also wait and then pick up a team that did qualify, and then therefore we have like better representation, better chance to get points, things like that. I think that's like the only thing in the qualifiers that I would have loved to see shift just a little bit.
I mean, look, bro, let's talk about FIFA, like FIFA squad. Like that's a perfect example. I think the roster lock should be after you find out who's going, or at least when orgs can pick up teams, right? Because like at that point, you're putting the power into the players' hands. But at the same time, the orgs, it's like the orgs can't complain about it because, hey, like you're getting a good investment here. You know that these guys are good enough, as opposed to, no, this is no shade at all. I'm just being blunt here. The teams that didn't make it, that were on an org, now they invested into money and now they're getting nothing from it, right? As opposed to, let's say FIFA, who they're like, yo, they can choose to, if an org approaches them before quals, they can be like, nah, we'll wait till after because we know we're going to get a better deal. And now FIFA and them, they're the best team in the region going with no representation. And now if a team does pick them up, they're not getting any points for the actual tournament itself. They're getting more just their actual representation itself, right? So I kind of feel for FIFA and shit.
Let me give some insight, because I think the EWC, like what EWC wants is they want the club championship teams to have to qualify. So they want, like, basically they don't want, like from what I found out, they don't want teams to be able to get signed after, because it kind of just like, they want to be able to sign teams
no one's
before.
going to pick up a team.
Right. So they want teams to sign before, so that you have to earn your way, basically. So it's like, okay, the org, scouted and they did all these things. They signed the right team. They qualified through. Then they made it to land. Like they want teams to have to do that scouting instead of signing players after the fact. So it's kind of a part of the EWC thing. Like even for, I believe our league team, like 100 Thieves League, like I don't think we qualified for EWC. So like there are other esports in Esports World Cup or other games that it had it the same way, where you had to sign a team before, because they want to sign you before, then you have to qualify. It's like that's the whole process of signing a team, and you scouted and then you did this and then you kind of make it through.
Well, this is what I was saying to Dandro. We basically had the same conversation in my chats. He was like, it would have been cool post close calls, and selfishly that would be great, because I think our biggest problem for us is that obviously me and Len kind of got chalked last year, so we had like no real like credibility based on last year. And then also we were pretty much one of the latest teams that actually did well to form. Like we got together super late because obviously, I wasn't going to compete this year at all. And then Echo was going to play with Enkyo and Grummelok. And then that didn't work out. And then I had an opportunity come up where I was like, oh, do you want to play with me and Len? And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. Like, why not? It doesn't hurt to at least try. So selfishly for us, obviously, there was no like time for us to develop an org. We had a few conversations with a few different teams, but we just ran out of time, basically. So that would be cool. But I'd also think if EWC becomes like you can pick up a team after they qual, the players themselves are going to lose out on months of payment, because all the teams that got signed back in like January have been getting paid every month. Like it's annoying for us that we haven't been, but it's great for them. Like that's more money going to the scene, which means more people don't have to leave and get jobs, and they're going to practice because they're getting paid. So like it's great for them. I think that's really good for like the scene in general. And also, if you make it to the point where you pick up a team after they qual, most orgs would opt not to sign anyone until post quals, because then they know for a fact they're getting a team that has a spot and they will earn points. They're paying for less amount of time, and then also EWC basically just becomes pay to win. I mean, it kind of is anyway, because the orgs with the best money get the best teams most of the time anyway. But like, if you do it that way, it is literally just pay to win, because it would be like, all right, who's qualled? Go and pay the most money for everyone. Get the best teams in every esport.
Also,
like the club championship, like the skill is go and scout good teams.
Right. I don't know how many people know this either, but like, I mean, I'll just say, like, even the way our contract was structured, if we didn't qualify, like we were dropped. Like there was that, and there's a lot of teams that had that same kind of like deal where, I mean, obviously I'm not going to say who, but like if teams that didn't qualify, you're just dropped from your contract. And we were also paid a lower salary until we qualified for Esports World Cup. So there's like a lot of things. So it's not like, it's like these orgs either are just throwing like a ton of money. It's not like a huge risk for them, obviously, until we did qualify. But yeah, I think that the whole reason that they want teams to sign before is so that there's not like this huge bidding war after the fact of like teams qualifying and stuff. Because then at that point, you kind of know who's the best team or who are the best teams going into it. So,
well, it also, I think now that I'm thinking about the original schedule too, you would have been able to sign a team coming out of the group stage. So you could have picked somebody up before group stage going into the closed qualifier, like the final day, if you had wanted to, with the original way it was set up. Because it was close. It was roster lock was the day of closed qualifiers. So you could have waited to see who made it to at least through the group stage of that time, and then you could have still picked somebody up, which maybe that's like the middle ground a little bit. I don't know.
I thought it was like really tight, no?
It also needs to be like viable as a business, right? Like we want orgs to be a part of the scene. That's obviously good for everyone. It's good for the players, good for everything. Like more investment. And if orgs are just like throwing all this money, then it's not like smart investments. It's just whoever has the most money is gonna win, and everyone else is gonna pull out.
True. To be fair, I didn't think about it like that. From like, for me, I'm always players first. Like that's where my brain goes. I want the players to be able to make the most money. I want the players to be able to, you know. And for me, I'm like, dude, if after they qual, they have the most leverage. But I didn't see it in the way FIFA said, where it's like, okay, but if you are one of the good teams, right, you get a contract before, you're getting paid now for 7 months. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really see it like that. So okay, all right. Now, okay, let's talk about a controversial topic here. You know, we love controversy here, Pullze Check.
Sorry.
Oh shit! You know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about teaming. Let's talk about it, bro. Oh shit! Here we go. FIFA, give me your take on it all, because this was your region. This was, you know, the teams that you are going up against, right? When you saw all those tweets go out or those messages got leaked, and I heard you got told too about teams wanting to team or people reaching out to you as well. Kind of what's your thoughts on it all?
I mean, I know personally that we got reached out to by people to team. So like it's not like it's like this mythical thing that people made up in their heads to justify like certain performances. It is definitely real because we literally had people come to us and ask the team and we turned them away. And if we had it, other teams had it, and we said no, but you can't guarantee what anyone's doing. So whether it was the teams mentioned or whoever, something was going on with certain teams, because there was we had people like, by the way, these aren't like necessarily like all good teams or whatever, right? But we had like, there was one team that messaged Len for open qualifiers, right? And they were like, yo, you guys down to not push bio? They weren't even in our group, bro. Like they were just tweaking. Like they messaged Len like, yo, you guys, in these next 4 matches, please don't push bio. We won't push Chem. Len was like, bro, you're not even in our group. What are you saying? Like, people are just tweaking, bro. I mean, it's the same with not streaming. If streams weren't required, people would have cheated, right?
Yes.
Like that's just
100%.
a fact of the game. You know, when there's this much money on the line, people are gonna get shameless. We've seen it time and time again. And this is just like the newest way of cheating without getting caught, and you know, but I think some people were making it too obvious, and whether there's 4K proof or not, I think the amount of people that are now looking for it, it kind of makes it impossible, right?
Which is good. I mean, Krinkz, talk to me, man. I know you got some opinions on this. What's your thoughts on it all? I mean, we saw it in our scrims as well, like blatant 4K teaming. And then, you know, what's kind of your thoughts on it all?
I'll be honest, like if you're doing that type of stuff, like you have no competitive integrity, and like you should not be competing. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's I'm like, I don't know if I can cuss or not, but you know, that's some like some crazy pussy shit, you know, to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you should not be able to fucking go and talk to your co-mates or your people that you know that you're friends with just because you're friends with them. It doesn't mean you have to team with them. You know, like everybody's trying to qual, everybody's trying to make it to LAN. You know, it doesn't matter who it is. Like you play your game and don't worry about whoever's on the other side of the map, you know? So it's like Rock Esports doing that shit with NIP, and that's some scummy shit. Like you guys should definitely take accountable of it for sure.
Yeah, I think here's the not the weird part, but here's the here's the thing. Like, okay, we know that it was, you know, King Shock messaging, or Vision, right? Messaging King Shock. King Shock agreed to it in our scrims, right? We don't have 4K proof about NIP, but we have, you know, 1440p proof. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
About NIP.
I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah, let's be honest here, right? We know that they were involved in that too, but only because there wasn't DMs involved, But yeah, I'll say this: ever since we called them out, and ever since they called like everybody out, it's stopped. It stopped. I hope that alone is enough. We didn't allow what's it called? King Shocks and Rock Esports team to play in our shit. We didn't allow them to play in the summer series this week. And people are like, oh, where are they? I'm like, no, like people think that there's gonna be no consequences for being scummy. And it's like, we've been lenient. We've said, oh, like, but not anymore, bro. Like it's not hard to have some integrity and be a decent fucking competitor and understand that, bro, everybody's trying to qual. Like everybody's trying to qual. Everybody's trying to, it's not hard. It's not hard, but yeah. Anyways, I felt the need to talk about it because that was a big thing last week.
Wait,
and
can I say one more thing before we move on?
Go.
I think the reason why the teaming shit would have been such a big problem in the qualifiers is, right? So like Ebatez said, a lot of these teams have big money contracts, monthly per month payments based on the fact that they qualified, and if they didn't, they were dropped. So like a team could have had an agreement like, hey, let's fucking like leave each other's anchors alone, guarantee we both qual, we can both carry on rolling on our fucking thousands of dollars a month, and we get the minimum prize for getting to EWC, right? Like, it's not a harmless thing. It's not like, oh, well, they'd still have to perform on LAN. Because if you cheat on LAN, sure, whatever, you're going to get pooped on LAN. Doesn't matter. But, like, these teams actually getting to LAN guarantees them, like, tens of thousands. So, you know what I mean? It's not the same as cheating on LAN. Like, they can go to LAN, no consequences, knowing that they're already up thousands. Because that's our thing now is, like, we might get picked up by an org based on representation, but like we've been putting the exact same amount of work in as every other team. We're just not getting paid for it like they are. So these teams are just collecting paychecks every month, and all they have to do is qual. It doesn't matter how they do in the final. They already got the bag. That's why the teaming thing is so bad.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're doing it too. Some of these players are seeing bags they've never seen, bro. They're probably eyes lighting up. They're like, yo, we got to do whatever we can, bro. Like,
we've heard about a couple of these contracts. I've heard about a couple, which good for them. I'm good for them. I will say a couple contracts. Hey, y'all can't just be letting anybody manage y'all. I'll say like lock in because some of y'all got finessed. I'll say that. Anyways, besides the point. So let's kind of talk about.
Orgs, but the money was so bad, bro. Some of these orgs are scamming.
Yeah.
Like actual scammers.
I saw some of them. I was like, bro, what is that contract? And some of them just said, yes, we'll do it.
Bro, Hector, this one team came to us and said, yo, you can play for us, but we already have a team. You're going to be our B team, and you're going to play for free.
Oh.
Like, wait.
Hell nah.
Wait, what?
You hit the block. You hit the block.
Bro, I was like, what did you say to me? Hold up. Oh, their A team didn't even make it out open quals. What are we doing?
Shit. Hey, hopefully hopefully this coming year we have more orgs involved. I do love, at least EWC is guaranteed till 2027. So there is a possibility that all these orgs continue to be involved. Hopefully we can get something in between, from what is it called? From after World Series to EWC, there's a big gap there that needs to be filled there. And hopefully there can be something next year that can fill that gap, right? So anyways, let's talk about, that wasn't a controversial thing I was going to talk about. This is more going to be for spots per region, right? And I'm going to be honest, I had some pretty what's the word? Strong takes on this, right? But after seeing, the quals on both sides, honestly, EU, not necessarily skill, but the EU competitiveness versus North America competitiveness, it felt kind of similar in Krinkz. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But like, it didn't feel like there was the top 3 or 4 teams were pretty up there. And then after that, there was kind of a big drop off and there was no like Cinderella stories, right? Where you would normally see. And it kind of felt like EU was kind of the same as NA, right? I think what do you think, Krinkz? Am I wrong? That's kind of the way it was this year, right? It felt kind of the same.
No, I do agree. Yeah, I do agree. I honestly felt like it was more of a, like NA was like, oh, okay, they qualified, like, the teams that we already know are gonna qual, it's like they qualified. But like in EU, there was times where like we were like, oh, we don't know if this team's gonna qual. Like I feel like there was a little bit more comp during the quals
amongst those 7. Okay. I mean, yeah, seeing Gentlemates not qual, but like or possibly not qual would have been fucking insane. I think the only
or even them being in 7th place.
I was pretty adamant about North America getting an extra spot. And, you know, I'm still kind of leaning towards that. And the only reason why is due to LAN performance. Like, I
mean, they have the extra spot with the Falcons, though, right?
Yeah, but I feel like you can't count that, right? Because if EU won that
argument.
If EU won that last year, you could have said that.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I mean, though. You earn it, though. That's my point. You earn that extra spot.
But I think if there's only 20 spots, like, you don't count the 21. Because that's like, that one, whoever gets it type shit. It could be APAC.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you never fucking know. I'm more
we're not talking about APAC getting extra spots right now. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like, come on, bro.
I think what I'm trying to say is that
Come on,
people are saying like NA technically did have 8 spots, but that's just like not true. We like there were 7 spots for NA, 7 spots for EU, and then obviously Falcons like they earned that spot. The same way like if Jukies and them won last year, they would have been like, you know, EU would have technically had that extra spot. So then we would be like, well, EU has more spots, but that's just not true.
But you would want like those spots to go that way because you think it's like a better region, more depth or whatever. But them getting that spot automatically means that they have an extra spot. Like that's one less team from NA. That's one more team.
I think everyone, for sure. I think everyone understands what you're saying, but it's like, so for example, like let's say FIF, let's say you go to win the tournament this year, right? So that's the spot that you guys got. Would NA technically be given an extra spot now that Falcons weren't the one winning it? Like,
I mean,
you know
I just think at that point, like then the region's performing better. I think
right.
the thing with NA that's like skewed is that like no argument they have the 3 best teams, right? So it's like so top heavy. Like the drop off after the top like 4 or 5 teams is such a steep drop off, right?
Yeah.
Top 3.
Sure you could put top 3 Falcons, Aiden, like VP, right? And then maybe you could throw in like
fuck?
AG, 100T, like well, no, like I'm saying no, well that's why I said top 5, but Dandro said 3, bro.
Yeah, Dan,
I'm just looking at the numbers from NA. Well, I'm just saying.
Well, no, obviously 100T went insane in rebirth. I'm saying like overall as a team.
He's not including Falcons. Yeah, he wasn't including Falcons.
I'm saying like overall is it like and like big map as well. I think obviously 100T is fucking insane at rebirth, bro. Like you just got so much gunny on that roster, but like overall, right? The top 5 in each region is like the top 5, but then the drop off afterward, like if you look at 8th, 9th, 10th place in NA, and then 8th, 9th, 10th place in EU, like I don't think either of those teams deserved it more than the other. Like the drop off after that top 7 is pretty significant. So I don't see why there needs to be a shift in spot. Like for example, this year, right? You take away that extra spot from EU and you give it to NA. Is that 8th NA team better than Enkyo and them? Because that's what would have happened.
No, for sure.
No,
for sure. I definitely understand. I definitely get where you're coming from. I think the argument is it's like, okay, so if let's say one region's performing better than the other, like what's the benefit of that, right? For like the following year. I guess that's just like what it comes down to. Cause like, and I agree too, like there's 4 teams in NA, right? That are like pretty separated from the rest. And then like kind of everyone's fighting for
arguably 5 if you throw Scumman's team.
Right. Yeah. So, but like, again, so it's like kind of like very, very top heavy. And then there's like a huge, like not a huge drop off, but a drop off. So it's kind of hard for like those other teams. They're kind of technically fighting for 2 spots, like realistically. Well, I guess 3 because Falcons were invited, but that's kind of where I think it's tough, where it's like EU, there's like what I'd say 2 or 3 teams you'd say that are like at the top. It's like you guys, NIP, and I'd say Gentlemates were pretty good until finals. So then there's like 4 spots that they're kind of fighting for. Like the rest of the teams are kind of fighting for the other 4 spots.
Here's kind of my take.
Both regions, though.
Yeah.
Here's my take on it, though. Like, go back to NA real quick. Like, okay, 2 points here. Is 1, it should always be, in my opinion, how you perform on LAN. And like, they got to do the Apex route, where the way that they determine spots is they grab spots from like how they perform percentage-wise in Apex, and then from there they distribute the spots for the next qualifiers. So it's always based off the previous LAN performance. I was talking to Wig about this weekend. Or was it like, something along those lines, but it's based off their LAN performance and how that works, right? Right now, I assume it's just based off of numbers, like what region has the most amount of people or something like that. I don't know. I think it should be like that because, for example,
It's definitely not based on people because
is it not?
like,
I don't know what it's based off, to be honest.
Asia and Africa and those countries, dude, they have like billions, bro, and they aren't getting 7 spots.
Yeah, I don't know what. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what it's based off of, but my point still stands. I think it should be based off performance at LAN because, like, you know, Latam South is like, hey, we want more spots, or even Latam North, right? Well, it's like, okay, well, let's look at the LAN performances. What are you guys at on LAN against the best teams in the world, right? And it's like, if you can justify that, if there's a quantifiable number, then all right, like pick a spot. If NA performs bad that year, yo, sorry fellas, y'all lose a spot. At least the way I see it is, fuck regions. I don't care what region you're from. Me personally, I just want the best teams to show up to LAN. That's my personal, like, that's what I want. And so how do you quantify that number?
I definitely agree with what you're saying, but it goes back to like, if you look at the team list of people that get invited in every big tournament throughout the year in Warzone, that same distribution doesn't exist. Like in EWC,
well, that's a completely different subject. That's a completely different, that's marketing tournaments.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but that's still part of it though, right? That's practice. Like if you, there's a lot of people in EU that have never played for big money because they aren't invited to the quote-unquote marketing tournaments, right? So then when they get to LAN, bro, they're playing for $1 million. They've never played for more than 10K in their lives before. It's going to be different than, you know, a team that sits playing a 15K WTF every single week in, week out. And then EU can't contest like power spots because they're not going to 50-50 fight on 150 ping. So the NAs end up with all the best landing spots, most of the reps, and teams are turning up like not practice. So it's like, you could argue that, but then if we're going purely comp, then you need to give the EU people the chance, and even LATAM and all them other regions, a chance to actually be competitive. Because at some point, if you keep taking spots away, it becomes less realistic for those players to keep playing, and the region's just going to die.
Well, okay,
it is a snowball
This is a complete different topic, right? But I see, FIFA, what you're saying by they coincide, because they do, right? But the conversation we should be having is, why is there no EU-based support? That's the convo that we should be having here, because that's the real, the real topic. But I get, trust me, I'm not saying that you're wrong at all.
No, I know you agree. I'm just like putting it out there. But the EU marketing team seems to not want to take the tournament route with their funding. There's also just less funding because European advertisers, we all speak different languages. There's less money in it for like one specific sponsor. It's just tough. With America, you've got 400 million people that all speak English. In Europe, you've got 700 million people that speak 400 different languages. So it's just tough.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem as well. But like, for example, right, say America pops off this year and we lose 2 spots next year, right? And then only 5 teams qual. So then a couple of people that are sitting there thinking like, oh, we could be a really good team if we sat and grinded, but are we going to be like a top 3 team on a bad day? Are we going to miss qualing? Why would we spend all these months and weeks practicing to be the best? I just should go get a job. Like, you know what I mean? And then that year, because the comp is less, then they perform worse, and then they lose another 2 spots, and then before you know it, there's no talent left in EU other than maybe 2 teams, and then you have a CDL type of deal where then the 2 good teams left just move to NA, and then boom, Europe's gone.
For that, I can see how it can be a snowball effect. It's just like, how do you think that the system right now is perfect the way it is then? Like, would you not change anything?
My ideal method would be you give every region a guaranteed like amount. So say for example, like you say, all right, EU, you're gonna have like 6 guaranteed, NA you can have 6 guaranteed, and then you're playing for that last spot. Like and then it's like it. So they have a certain base regardless, but then based on performance, they could win a spot off of like the 2 regions that hold the most.
Yeah, it should be like a global flex spot almost. That can move
exactly.
That would work. That'd be perfect
for each region.
I personally, again, I disagree a little bit.
How would you compare those two? Like, how would you compare NA versus EU? Let's say they did like a wild card spot kind of where it was like either NA gets it or EU gets it. How would you even like compare those? Based on like what?
You do it based
Kills,
on like I think you do it based on like points added together.
You do points, but the problem is like we even saw this with the group stages. Is like where there's just shitter lobbies. Like again, I'm not saying EU's like not competitive, but there are
on LAN, there's
scenarios where. Okay, so you're saying the spot should be on LAN. That's okay. So like they'd have to fly.
It should be LAN performance.
Oh,
He's saying
Land-
like
okay. I thought you were saying.
yeah. Nah.
Okay, I thought you were
Percentage
saying
of points
online.
based
I
on.
was like, yeah.
I mean, bro, online means nothing because people could be cheating, people could be
Right.
teaming. Like, there's all these things.
Okay.
It should be percentage
Okay,
of
so
points
you're saying
based
on
on
LAN.
LAN performance. Yeah.
Okay, I thought, yeah, my bad.
And
I
then
thought you
have
were saying
like
like
one or
online.
two like wildcard spots, like flex spots for the regions.
That makes sense because, like, again, like I understand what you're saying. Like, trust me, like, bro, FIFA. I mean, we've talked about it off stream. Like, the amount of EU support right now, it's not there. It's not there. And transparently, I'm trying on the back end to try to figure out something because you're right. If nobody gives EU the opportunity, they're never going to get better. Like, if they're not practicing, if they're on off ping the entire time, right? But at the same time, NA marketing is NA marketing. Like, that's what their goal is, right? And it's like. The problem lies within Europe marketing. They have a different route, right? They do things differently. And so I think what you said is probably the best solution to where it's like, I want the best teams to be on LAN. That's what I think it should be. But if there's like a minimum spot to prevent, like you said, the snowball effect from happening, like guaranteed a certain amount of spots. And then depending on the next LAN, those are how many spots are distributed accordingly for the next one, for the next LAN going forward. That would make sense. That would make sense because then, yeah, you're right. Like, it's how you perform on LAN, and that way you
and then
don't
also you
minimize
then get like a sense of pride then that like you're not just competing for your own team, you're competing like to put your region on, and then those regions viewerships will like get behind their players, and it's like a whole thing. It's more than just I want to turn up and make 50K today. It's like I need to do good so that like my whole region's on right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I say that's something that we've even seen like with like a lot of the European teams. Like, it's that like that's something that it's actually why I like doing a lot of these European events, because it's like they're like those French squads, dude. They want to be the best French squad. It's not just like being the best in EU. They like we want to be the best, or we want to be the best Italian team, or like and like they like ride with that shit, dude. I love that. Where it's like, what are we gonna have? Like, I want to be the best Warzone player from Arkansas or something. Like, I don't know. Like we have none of that. It's just like you're from America and that's it. Haha. It's like that's a nice little like layer added to the competition that I think is like really, really fun. So I don't know, man. I'm hoping that 50K we had this year like showcases that they should maybe give a shit and start throwing money at tournaments and stuff, because like that was lit. That was like that tournament was so sick. It was great. Yeah. And I'm hoping that like just give us like one more. Give like EU at least one more a year. If they get 2 a year.
Yeah.
At least that's like a solid like okay amount. Like,
well, bro,
at least
I will say, right, I said at the end of last year, if the support is given to EU this year, I would bet my life that we perform better proportionately than we did last year, right? That's what I said when we spoke post World Series, right? That's what I said. I was like, if EU players get more spots in scrims, more spots in tourneys, and we're starting to see that happen now, right? And I think you'd all agree that the EU comp this year is much more comp. There are like
for sure
5 teams that are actually competitive, like really could like do damage, whereas last year there was maybe like 2 on paper. And then once you get to World Series, like some of those like mid-table, like upper 20s, like low teens, like there are more of those teams on EU now because there is more support, and I think that's a trend you'll see continue. So like, if you really want the best comp, you have to keep doing that. If you got to the point where next year it's still the same thing, EU players are just getting slammed, you see huge differences in prize earnings, whatever, then like, okay, fine, the region is objectively worse, and you can have these systems in place to, redistribute the spots to whichever regions deserve them. But I think you can see this year alone, there's more involvement in EU. You guys have done a really good job in, getting involved, running scrims for us, and there are more spots given to some of the EU teams for these money tournaments as well. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed that. Obviously, the people that haven't seen that are going to be mad about it, but it's objectively true. There are more opportunities for EU this year, and you see the comp getting better. Plus, you got the contracts going out, players getting paid, they have incentive to grind, and other players seeing that are also going to want to now put
grind
that
as
time
well
in and earn that money. It's like it's a snowball in the reverse direction.
Yeah. I mean, dude, again, ultimate goal is to have like, find a way. It's just, sadly, it all comes down to money and funding it. But imagine if there was, even just starting off with 2, like a North American league and a Europe league that has constant support, that has constant money behind it, that orgs can get involved, that orgs can be like, okay, I want to be a part of that. And that player's like, yo, I can compete for this amount of money every single month, 2 months, 3 months. And then the big at the end of the year, it's EWC, World Series of Warzone. That is quite literally transparent. That is my fucking goal, right? Sadly, the world revolves around money.
That's the dream, bro. That's the dream.
Yeah. But sadly, the world revolves around money, and it's like, the game being in a shit spot doesn't help for us trying to get sponsors to produce these types of things, because the only way sponsors want to come in is if the game's popular and if people are enjoying it and if it's getting numbers. And it's like, how do you pitch something that when the game is in the shithole and it's not, and players are complaining about bugs and their updates ruin the whole game. And it's like, so it's a big picture that, we're trying to establish here, which hopefully we can make it happen one day. But yeah, dude, I agree with everything you're saying, FIFA. I think you're very educated. And I think you bring up a lot of good points. So I think all of us can do a better job, and we just got to try it and help provide for not just North America, but EU as well. And you're right. I think that you guys have gotten better. And I think for people saying that EU hasn't gotten better, I know chat likes to troll NA over EU, but it's like, bro, you can't deny that EU has gotten better. Now we'll see what happens on land.
It's still skewed as well,
right?
Because the best teams are NA. Like the top 3 teams in the world are NA. So like when people look at, because a lot of the time people aren't looking like who came 5th and made 5K. Like that's a good result for whoever that was, and they might be out another NA team that was better than them last year. But at the end of the day, you look at the end of the tournament, who put out the champs tweet, and more often than not, that is your Aidens, your Dongies, or your Falcons, or whoever which team you think is the top 3. So I think it is skewed. I remember there was a stat on Twitter about like the earning distribution from last year, but like that's just like playing the stats, because if you take away the top 3 teams from both regions, then the split isn't as bad. The prizing is just like super top heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh well, NA made 700k, EU made 200k. But if you take away the top 3 NA teams, the top 3 EU teams, the EU stat doesn't change that much. The NA stat, it halves. So it's super top heavy.
I get that. I get it. I understand, especially the money distribution. More so, like I think if anybody's gonna make that argument, just in general going forward, it should be like, average placement per region, right? And then see where that lies, exactly. Right?
Like the money too is like that's rage bait, bro. I'm telling you, it's rage bait.
But yeah, look, like I will say, I think that EU has gotten better. I mean, Krinkz, would you agree? We watch everything.
Yeah, I do agree with this year. I think EU's competitive side is way better. I mean, we also I don't know. I feel like NA was kind of like weak this year when it came to the quals. So I don't know. It just seems like it was so top heavy that with like below the top 7, it was just like the rest of the teams were ass.
Yeah, you're not wrong, right? Like I will say, I don't know if like it was weird seeing EU have like what people would consider the best team almost not qual, like, and that's that, and that was no fault of like it was 8 games. Like you had the opportunity and there was no like, only 2 games or whatever. Like that's kind of crazy to think, right? And it's like now FIFA and them, I know FIFA, I don't even have to ask them. I know people were telling FIFA shit like, last year, like you probably getting your wash, all this shit. But then he shows up when it fucking matters and goes fucking rogue on everybody, like dominates his region.
Me and Hector Chat spoke at World Series.
I remember
in
this.
Vegas. He said, please compete for one more year. He was like, because we kind of knew Biffle didn't want to play. He knew that I didn't want to play. And he was like, I'm trying to convince him, you need to play next year. I was like, bro, I feel like I'm good enough, but I feel like my stock as a player is down based on this year. It's not like I just suddenly was shit one year. We just had a bad year based on certain factors. Like your stock as a player does go down.
Yeah.
It's a thing, bro.
Yeah,
Skullface was definitely a victim of that as well. Like I know he played with Joe and Bread, didn't do well. He somehow found himself on a team with Noobs and Almond. They did really well at EWC. Then they didn't qualify for World Series. So then everyone was like, kind of just discounting Skull. He started the year with Nate and Raul, which are good players, but then somehow ended with Gabe and Blast. But no, it's definitely true. Like player stock is definitely a real thing, and good players all the time are on bad teams, and it's just kind of like just how it goes sometimes.
Bro, we got blessed because like literally me, Len, and Echo, like there was like 5 decent players left in EU, and 3 of us were just happy to play together and make a team last minute, bro. Like, dude, it was chalk, bro. Echo was meant to be with Enkyo, and then he got dropped last minute, and then it was like we were there like, oh shit.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So bro, and this was like a week before like shit really started going down. So I mean, Echo had reached out to me at the start of the year to play because he was kind of down. But I was like, I'm not competing. So then when he hit me back up, I was like, you know what? We could be cooking. Hold up. And I rate Echo so much as a player. And then our only problem was a third, and Len was with Rob. But then we were like, Len, come on, bro. Like, come to the dark side.
Because at first it wasn't it Robstar, Lennon, and Oki?
Yeah, so it was
Wasn't that
something
the
like
King
that.
AJ, no? King AJ.
Oh yeah, it was something like Len was with Rob and someone
Lennon.
else, and then I just told Len, I was like, listen, bro, I'm with Echo. Like, come on, bro. You know, we got you with the IGL. You can really be that gunner, bro. We had the vision. It was always there.
Yeah.
And now we kind of like, bro. Len wasn't just a shit player last year. He just didn't have the opportunity to shoot his gun. And now we're giving.
I think
that to
anybody
him,
who
and he's,
watched
like,
your
shining.
team last year understands what the issue was with that.
I filled in for some scrims. I could talk all about it, man. I filled in for some scrims there. That was
I remember.
it was a
I remember
movie.
watching
Wait, so
that
you
shit.
remember that day,
I was
bro?
like-
Oh
was
my
like-
god.
I was like, what the
Movie.
fuck's going on right now? That was
That
fucking
was a
hilarious,
movie.
bro.
I was like, bro, did we not
bro,
just
we
get a
were
top 3
frying
with good kills?
too.
Yeah, we were
fucking
cooking.
frying.
I was like, damn, what just happened?
Yo, I remember, Ebatez, you caught so many strays last year, twin. Like,
Oh, dude, I was just sitting there like, how much have you earned? I was like, what, bro? I was like, bro, what are we talking about right now? We're playing a fucking Twitter tourney scrim. I'm here for one game. Lennon's power's out. I'm doing you a favor, and I was just getting cooked. I'm like, what is going on right now?
I was fucking dying, bro. I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened, bro? Like, we watched party that we couldn't believe it. Oh, man.
Can I throw one more thing in on the region
Yeah,
topic
yeah.
before we move on?
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say about the region thing is, right, so obviously for me personally, this year's kind of been shocking for EU wise, right? Because I always talk about the opportunity thing, and you know, I don't want to sound like I'm rambling, and I know the NAs understand it, whatever, but like, it is a real thing. And I think EWC and World Series are 2 examples of tournaments where it's not marketing funded, whatever. It's like basically you qualify based on how good you are, right? And even that alone, like, there's so much money to be made now that is incentive to start grinding. Like, bro, Pentagon, I thought that dude was terrible. And then all of a sudden, like, this year, his team's actually doing something, bro. I remember saying to Echo, I was like, dude, when did they get good? Like, that guy was making me...
right?
Nah, they didn't qual,
No.
but bro, they were playing really well in scrims, and they almost
Yeah, they were.
only what?
Buzzing
They're only
and
10 points
that
down.
team was I was surprised that they didn't qual. Well, this kind of, I mean, I'm glad that you say this, Pops, because this is the next topic. We're talking about going per region and kind of just talk about the teams that didn't qual and like what shocked us. And I guess we'll start with
Yeah.
Fuzz and Penta and Melvin. Like,
But yeah,
that-
Penta's guy who
they were
made
doing
a
good.
decent amount of money from content in his stream, and if there's no tournaments in EU and he's not getting invited, why is he going to sit and grind them? There's literally no point to try and be good. So he was focusing content, and then all of a sudden you see $1 million World Series qualifiers, EWC $1 million qualifiers, and he starts grinding comp again, and he goes from someone who not many people in EU would have considered like a really top player to being on a team that people were actually like, okay, there's a really good chance they're going to qual in a top 7 situation. So I think like
Yeah.
you just see I think EWC and World Series have just been so good for like Warzone as a whole. You see
As a whole,
so
yeah.
many people putting time in, bro. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
I love seeing the passion, man. I mean, remember, we started the whole, like, not even just watch parties, but throwing scrims, throwing tournaments for the scene 2 years ago. And brother, Fif, it was hard to fill up a fucking lobby. Like, it was hard to fill up
yeah.
scrims.
Oh, yeah.
And like, to now where it's like, bro, we have 75 spots and like, we got a whole line of people being like, yo, why didn't you fucking invite me? Like, I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, we're trying to get everybody in. Like, you know, it's hard, you know, but now, which I love it, right? Like, the passion is there. And so the goal now is just keep building from there, right? Like, I have plans to start building up. I hate the word amateur because like, I just don't like that word, but like, I want to build up the tier 2 or the open style next, right? I think we've done a really good job at establishing, you know, the top tier, and you know, with Pullze Check League, Pullze Check, or even the summer series, like it's a condensed version of it. I want to try to focus on now, hopefully going forward, a little bit of the amateur side of things, the tier 2 side, and give people a way to move up and to prove themselves, right? So
How
yeah,
about we call them the underhorse?
the underhorses. I like that. I
The
like that.
underhorses.
Oh
It's
man,
hard to move up if you're not like a star player.
yeah.
Like if
It is.
you know, like if you're a dongy, you can like really just turn up no matter what individually, and people will see that. But like, not everyone's, you know, a top 5, top 10 player. If you're one of those like middle of the pack, it's so hard to get on a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, I like these players, like let's say Scopes, kind of just had an opportunity and fucking fried, and now he's kind of fast tracked his way up to the top, right? A lot of people, some people have done it. Gabe has done it, had no connections, and just fucking is him. Dongy did it, no connections.
I played with Gabe and Almaz, I think it was at the start. We were playing like switcheroos, bro. Someone was like, "Oh, do you mind if my buddy joins?" I got him in, and then I left to play wages with Aiden. I dragged him in. We were playing switcheroos, and he was fucking frying. Dude, I was like, "Who is Gabe, bro?
This guy?
Damn!" Like I've never heard of this guy. He's in switcheroos, and me and Aiden just frying his brains out, bro. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, so that's the
might
goal.
be cheating.
That's the goal going forward, right? But kind of back to this. I mean, boys, another team that didn't qual, and I think it's worth talking about, is Heeds, Neosin, and King Shock, right? They were one of the teams that were teaming, right? And they didn't qual. But I'm a firm believer in, I don't like, especially with the whole shifty situation, I will never call anybody a cheater unless there's definitive proof. There is still no proof for Neosin. I know a lot of people call him that, and I'm still not. I'm not gonna say he's hacking or anything like that. But like for me, and this goes to everybody. Now I don't want to just single out Neosin. It's like I've had players be like, "Yo," I've had a lot of players actually who get accusated, and they come to me like, "Bro, like why are people saying this about me?" Well, I'm like, twin, like you streaming alts, I give people a hard time whenever they ask to monitor cam or face cam. There are certain things that you could do to, maybe not prove 100%, but can help you at least put you into a position where you can prove that you're not cheating. And it's like, streaming on alt accounts is not going to help anything. It's not going to make things better for you, right? And so, obviously teaming, it ain't gonna make things easier on you as well. But I mean, let's talk about them, man. These guys were fucking frying in scrims. I'm talking like frying scrims. Like they were doing really fucking good. Top 2, top 3 almost every single time. And then they show up on the day on LAN, or not LAN, sorry, on finals, and they get fucking smoked. Like I'm watching them, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like they were getting handled, and I don't know what changed. I don't know what happened, but they were in last place up until literally like the last 2 games. I mean, Dandro, do you have any?
Yeah, they were getting triple conned headquarters, brother. Like
it was a gigantic orgy. There was a gigantic orgy going on at headquarters, bro.
You had 3 or 4 teams who were like, and then this. Okay, I'm gonna go a mini rant here. Like there were like 3 or 4 teams who were all landing headquarters. None of them qualified, by the way. So I just want to make that very clear. So y'all are idiots for just continuing to try and like not put your ego aside and continuing to try and like con each other. And then I'm looking at the timeline after quals, and all of them were like, well, GG's, didn't get conned all scrims, and then on the day that it matters, like we're getting contested. And I asked Ethan about this. I'm like, does like nobody think to have like a bailout plan? Like if that's happening, right? Like do you like, as a competitor qualifying for $1 million tournament, do you not have at least any sort of forethought to think as a squad, what do we do if this isn't working? Like that's just like an immediate like question you have to ask yourself. And it's just like, that's what frustrated me the most, because like you're playing a competitive game against competitive people. Like you don't get to complain that you got contested at your drop spot on a qualifier day. Like you got to be able to play through it, right? And I think that's why I go back to like with the Fnatic like questions. Like they had 2 different ideas of how they wanted to go ahead and play the map based on where Zone was pulling, stuff like that. And so yes, you can try and get those cons early, but like if you're losing that, like if you are, and I love Onic, I love that all 3 of those boys on their team. Like if you're dropping back-to-back zeros, like you got to do something completely different, because what you're trying to do is obviously not working, right? And so I mean, for a lot of those squads, it was they came into that day, they had their game plan, sure, and yeah, I mean this is kind of what we call like the soft skills of being a Warzone competitor. Like you have to be able to pivot on a moment's notice. And so yeah, you're getting contested. What are you going to do about it? Like that's like my question, is like, what are you going to do about it? And for 3 of them, they all just bitch and moaned about it, and that was what they did, and they didn't do anything different, and then none of them qualled. And I'm just like, what is going on, man? Like,
am I high for? Okay, again, I'm going to speak with no bias here, and I'm going to strictly talk about like this right here, this tweet. Like Blade and them tweet out, not qualified for EWC LAN because we got 3 teams on our spot. GG's, you are so dumb. And he tagged Abwiz, Disrupt, and Bubble. And then Abwiz said, we won first 4 fights, you morons, concede and go somewhere else. You only kept coming back because you have nothing to lose, right? So, okay, am I dumb for thinking that like Abwiz and them weren't in the wrong here? Like, who cares? This is my opinion. And again, I love Blade. There's nothing against them. But regardless whether you were winning in scrims or not, like if you're losing 4 fights off rip, that's not on AppWiz. Like that's not your spot. Like anybody can land anywhere. It's a video game. Like if you're losing, you come up with a plan, you land somewhere else. Like I can see why you would be mad at the team for coming in like, yeah, why'd you land on us? But like that's not their fault. That's on you guys for not being prepared for that. I don't know. Am I faded for that?
I think it's on both.
100%
Like if Blade and them were actually getting shit on, then like yeah, it's dumb for them. But if I think Wiz here too needs to realize like, yo, this team is being so dumb and like stubborn that like they're gonna chalk us too. Because if after 4 games, he's saying we won the first 4 fights. If after 4 games you're still not like in a comfortable spot to qualify, I feel like it's also on Wiz to be like, yo, this team is so stubborn. They're gonna chalk their own game. Like we're not doing that. We're gonna go somewhere else. Like I feel like it's on both. Yeah. Again, if B-Blade's getting shit on, if B-Blade's getting shit on off drop, and then it's still like chalking Wiz, then like yeah, B-Blade's just being stubborn and he's not changing spot. But if B-Blade's being stubborn and Wiz isn't changing it after not being in like a solid spot to qualify after 4 games, like you're halfway through. If you're not in a good, comfortable spot, you got to change your drop as well. Just because if another team's being stubborn, there's nothing you can do about that. You kind of have to take it into your own hands. And like, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
you know what I think?
Who was the third team? Sorry, go ahead.
It was Heeds.
Oh, the thing that I think part of the problem is, right, all these teams have scrimmed for weeks. It's not like they haven't. Everyone practiced.
Yep.
And I think a lot of these teams, like, not every single one, and this isn't 100% the case, but a lot of these teams would have tried other places and it not worked. And they also know which teams are in power spots. And they, obviously, everyone looks at it and goes, okay, if I am going to con a spot, which team do I think is the most likely to kill, you know? So, like, they've obviously been picked out as, like, the weak link. Like, we're going to go and chow them. So they put themselves in that position. And then if they're like 4 games in, they're at the point where they're like, all right, we need bangers. And they've only practiced this spot really. And they're like, all right, well, we need to land at our spot to get a banger. Like if they could land at any spot and get a banger, they'd be doing it, you know? Like they're only comfortable there. So they're kind of just like, they're already one of the teams that is just getting conned because they're seen as that. So they're just like super stuck on that spot.
Hey,
just so
that's,
y'all know,
that's part of the problem, right?
They're 10th, 12th, and 13th. Those teams just won.
Even looking at the leaderboard, I have a question. Wiz was saying that he won the drop 4 times the first 4 games. How is Vanitos? How did they end up in front of him? Like that's B-Blade's team, right? If he was getting slammed off drop, how did he outscore Wiz in them?
I think they were rotating out, I think, a lot faster. They started kind of landing more over towards Grandma's than actually pushing into prison a little bit faster.
Okay.
They're not like trying to focus so hardcore on headquarters. So they were pushing into prison, and then they were kind of fighting Rock a little bit more, which I actually think is why Rock ends up qualifying, is because they get pushed out. And Rock was like basically trying to hold like all of prison, but they were like not really doing anything because nobody was there. So finally they have teams starting to come on in. I think they started like feeding off of some of those kills, and then they actually kind of got some momentum. And then they finally start like looking down at all these other places that you can from prison and start getting those like long range kills that are on board with it too. So it's like a weird like cascading effect that like goes through with this. So it's super interesting because I didn't think about that till like right now that they got pushed out and then start going prison, and now like all these teams are fighting prison now, which then lets like the team who's hold prison, like they are already now just farming all of those other teams who are already like super like desperate to come on in. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
I think at the end of the day, 3 teams on one spot is obviously, and it's insane. 3 teams at one spot is ridiculous. Like at some point, you got to be like, yo, 3 teams here, this is never going to work. I don't care if it's Stronghold, Chemical, like you could be at the best POI on the map. 3 teams on one spot is everyone's cooked.
I just think it's just a losing situation, bro.
What I was saying is when we were watching, I saw a lot of Pentaga and Fuzz and Melvin also rotating towards Grandma's early on in the games so they can avoid fighting Gentlemates. There were times where they would take the fight, but whenever the zone rotated towards, with let's say FIFA, we would see them, instead of taking a 5 versus Decky, they would take a 5 versus those 3 teams, whether it would be Blade, Onyx, or Nielsen. And then we saw that a lot. I saw that a lot, and it was like Pentagon was pretty much chalking majority of those teams, just like contesting them over and over and over and over, just because they wanted to make sure that they didn't fight Gentlemates, but Gentleman was also getting wiped crossing towards that Grandma side.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That Gentlemates, guys, we could very well be having the conversation right now. Aim assist abuser or Eisen and them could be in 7th, and Gentlemates could not be going to land like that. That could have been a very real scenario, right? So I don't know, man. I think again, more of the story here, and it's what Dandro said. It's every team needs to have backup plans. And if they didn't know that, they should know that now going into LAN. Like even on LAN,
Yes.
whatever we decide to do from here and out, because it's going to be really hard. I'll say this, scrims for EWC are going to be really weird because how do we get off 21 teams or as many teams in these lobbies while all in different regions? It's going to be weird. If we do scrims per region, are other players going to want to play because they're like, what's the point of playing? We didn't qual. We're going to focus on World Series. I don't know. We're going to figure it out unless we do tournaments, mini tournaments with like paid tournaments where then that way they're like, oh, then we'll try. We'll figure that out. But all that to say is every team should know going forward, have multiple spots ready to go, have a backup plan because you never fucking know on LAN what's going to happen. And it's going to be match point. So, if you hit match point and you get landed on, you got to have some type of backup plan, So, yeah. But look, let's head over to North America now. We went over a little bit of EU. Let's go over some of the teams that didn't qualify for North America. And again, we don't have to stick to just, what's it called? We don't have to just finals. Like we can talk about like other teams that didn't make it to finals, right? But yo, I'm gonna give a shout out to Pilos, bro, because Pilos popped the fuck off and they went fucking rogue. And same thing for Flanked and them. Flanked and them, they fucking, they were a team of like a bunch of different people put together and shit as well. And they qualified.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, SAUL, they did not fucking qual. That to me was kind of insane. Like,
Dude.
No, I'm saying like, no, genuinely, I feel like I haven't spoke to you that much. Good shit, bro. That's it.
Oh, I thought you were saying like we were the reason that SAUL didn't qual because like Ryder was in a 1v. Because Ryder was in a 1v3. I was like, dude, that's not my fault, bro. I was like, damn.
I was just saying, good job, bro. Like,
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. No, yeah, Hector, that's a good shot on Tenix and them. I feel like they were getting conned by tapping them all day over on docks, and like, dude, that POI in general just gets mixy. Like you'll pick up a lot of kills. I know Pios and them, they had their game 7 was 17 kills, 11th place. They died in like the early 4th circle. Like
wow.
The fact that they got 17 kills, no placement is crazy. And honestly, it's the reason that they qualified as well. They just popped the fuck off over on docks. So yeah, definitely huge shout out to Tenix and them, man.
yeah.
I also think Unrational and them were also conning them at first, and then they ended up needing to switch spots because they knew that they were getting conned by 3 teams, so they chose not to go there.
Right.
Yeah, look, I think for me, the biggest surprise is SAUL and Team Unrational. Those are the two, as far as not making it. Like,
right.
SAUL, obviously they have an org. They were doing relatively well. I would say if you look at that squad, they don't scream like a resurgent squad. I think they'll do pretty well on Big Map. But even then, I think they were playing fairly well when it came to scrims and stuff like that. And I see them not qual by 3 fucking points.
Yeah, a couple things with them. It sucks. Like 1, they were getting conned by Vonbot's team, and 2, they also had some very unfavorable zone pulls. Like obviously, like zones in general, like are pretty kind of RNG. Obviously, there's things you can do, but when you're getting, dude, I mean, we had like 6 control center zones. You know what I mean? Like I'll admit it. Like our team got blessed. We obviously land control, and we got like 6 control endings. With a team that lands bio across the map, they're rotating the entire time. The fact that they even got 105 points with those zone pulls is tippable. And like, again, that's kind of like a team I was talking about earlier. It's like where don't be like discouraged. Like this is a very good roster. They just didn't have a great day, but they honestly played pretty well. Like obviously they didn't qualify. So, they didn't do the best that they could have, but they had a pretty good day given with what they were given. And it's honestly pretty shitty, the zone pulls that we got that day. I honestly couldn't believe it. So it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, on another day, that squad could have qualified for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Bro actually got pulled every single time.
Yeah, he did.
Now, another team that I think for me, based off the way they were playing in scrims, was Team Unrational. Like they were in like top 3, for sure top 7 almost every single scrim. I think they rarely had an off day. And I'm not too sure what happened. And I saw Adrian tweak. They had high ground and they could have won the game, and he fell off the roof.
Yeah.
I saw Gorgo tweak, and he thought Adrian's PA was his PA, and he was like one of the last people up, and he jumped off the tower, and they died. They got wiped, and like I don't know what happened that day. I'm not too sure. I was very surprised to see them not qual, and they died. I think the first 2 games off rip. It was just weird because that was a team that I was like, oh, like they played really well in scrims, top 7 almost every single time, and I expected them to qual, and they didn't.
Didn't you say
So,
they
yeah, I don't
played
know.
like really bad in an off-stream qual just before?
Oh yes, that was the day before. They had a really rough day. I didn't watch that one, but the Saturday before they had a rough day. Like they didn't do too hot.
See, I
And-
wonder, like, I think a big thing is, bro, those first 2 games actually matter a lot. Like, if you have 2 first games that are bad and you only have 8 to play, that puts so much pressure on to start getting points on. So, like, you might have a game plan in your head, but, bro, once those games start going, they go so fast. Like, before you know it, it's game 5 and you're in fucking 10th, bro. Like, it gets hot real quick. You start thinking, all right, we need a banger. And then you're playing too fast. And then you get wiped again. You're like, oh, now we need an even bigger banger. And you do something even worse. And it's just a bad spiral once you get in that, like, in that mix.
Yeah.
I was saying to the EU guys, I think if you have 2 bad games to start, you got to completely change. Like, don't wait for the halfway point. Like, what you did the first 2 games didn't work. You got 6 left. Just hit a mental reset and change. When you're sitting in, like, 10th or 11th, with like 2 games left, saying like, boys, if we just have a pop-off game, that's not a good position to be in, bro.
Yeah, I like, dude. Even on the contrary, on the opposite side, right? Like, Honey Thieves, the day before quals, they were up 100 fucking points on the second place team. They like, and then they went to quals and then obviously won. All right, but like, yeah, I don't know, man. Again, Gary's team was I was mind blown. Sorry, Dandro, go ahead, puppy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I was looking at how they did over maps. It's like very interesting because like map 1 and 2, like FIFA was saying, they actually did not do well. But then 3 through 6, they actually did like pretty decent. And then it was just like back-to-back stinkers in 7 and 8. So it's like literally half their games they like barely scored any points. So it's like they still like got 76.4. Like majority of that came through literally 4 games that they had. So it's like convert any of those 2 into like decent games, or even like FIFA saying a banger, that it could be a completely different story, with the leaderboard that's there. So just kind of goes to show that, like, I mean, this is what we say with pretty much every tournament, but specifically with these, we were like, your consistency is nutty. And I think that's like the thing that like maybe players need to look at, like, especially when you like look at some of these, is that it's like, dude, if everybody on your team gets literally 4 kills and you get like decent placement multiplier, like you could have been top 7, like easily, almost. Like it's crazy like that. How it works down when you kind of like break it down by the numbers, like that. So it's tough, man. I'm right there with you. I wanted that team to qual really, really bad because I really liked them, but you can't chalk for your 8 games.
And the point is, if you have a 0-point game, you need to have a game that's worth 2 games. And if you have 4 0-point games, you need 4 games that are worth 2. And if you're playing that inconsistently, you can't rely on those 4 pop-offs. It's just enough.
Yeah, they got 2 points in game 8, 1 point in game 7. Game 1 is actually one of the they had 8.4, and then the lobby 2 they had 3 points. So it's just like,
Tough.
Bro,
crazy.
Where did they land? Where did they land the first 2 games? Because they weren't landing HQ the first 2 games. Literally, they started scoring points once they landed HQ. Krinkz, do you remember where they were landing before HQ? Was it?
They
were landing either.
They were calling 10x, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, they were
Tennis, right?
calling Pios. It was Pios. They were calling Pios, or if not, they would go Bio. But that was the very first when they first started. They chalked Bio early on, and then they were landing.
Oh, it
where
was
Pios
fucking
at.
prison. It was
they were
prison,
going prison.
guys.
And bottom
Yeah.
They were going in
with
prison. I don't even know
they
who
were
the fuck
landing
they were fighting.
Pios
APG?
spot. They were landing Pios spot. AG Global, AG Alpha Gaming. Sorry.
Well, yeah, Alpha Pro Gaming, they were prison the first 2 games, and they had no points. And then they landed on HQ, landed on AG Global, and they won, I think, like almost every single gunfight against them, or like not like initial gunfights at least. And then they started racking up points. And then I think literally their final game, AG wiped them, or was it the second to last one? But yeah, I don't know. That was they started scoring once they went HQ. And so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the game plan just didn't line up or whatever. But, I mean, now I kind of want to talk about teams that did really fucking good, fellas.
Yeah. I was going to say.
I have one team in particular, and I want everybody's opinion on this, right? Scythe, Big Man, and fucking, what's his name? Anxiety, right?
Anxiety.
What are y'all's thoughts on them? Because look, again, I think innocent until proven guilty. I haven't seen anything crazy on them as of right now. I haven't seen anything.
No.
And I'm telling you right now, bro, if they are not hacking, these fuckers are next up. Like they are fucking good if they're not hacking. But does anybody have any proof? Because people send me shit. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, like it looks crazy, but like, you know, I've seen Shifty do crazier shit. I've seen Shifty do things just as crazy, right? And Shifty got accusated, but like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything about Big Man that was like crazy.
I watched that big man guy during some of their good games because like I heard everyone talking about it, and like I said to my chat, I was like, bro, that's a good ass game they just had, and I didn't see him do anything weird. You can't be like hacking to become one of the best teams and not be going blatant. Like if they, even if they're like soft cheating, they're already really good. But like I didn't see anything, bro. Like I don't know, they were just cooking.
I think
that's what I said.
Yeah, I understand the concerns. Like with any up and comer, like you're always gonna get accusations. Like I will say, like etc. Thomas, like he had a couple clips. He was like open, yo, I'll PC reset Monticam, whatever. I'm down. Let me know. And like I don't think anyone's accusing him anymore. I think the thing with Big Man is that like he was frying, but he was like there were scrims he couldn't make it. There was just like he like didn't want to PC reset Monticam. He just wasn't like trying to. So I understand like the concern. And then there was like that one day I just added him to the group chat and I was like, yo, can you just PC reset Monticam because everyone in the group chat's accusing you. He ended up doing it and he was frying. And then I don't think anybody said anything after that. So I think initially like the reason people were just like accusing him is because he just wasn't like doing what they were asking. But then the day he did it, finally, I don't think anyone ever asked him again after that. So I think honestly it is pretty easy to just be like, yo, like the same thing Thomas did. Thomas wasn't even asked to PC reset Monticam and he was doing it for the qualifiers and stuff. Just because he's like, yo, I'm not cheating and I just don't want anyone to accuse me. So I really do think it's pretty easy to prove yourself that you're not cheating. Just, again, you don't have to like, you know, bend your back backwards. It's really not that tough. If someone's asking you to PC reset Monticam or whatever, just do it. Like, as long as you're not being weird about it and like, you know, I don't want to do this, then I don't really think anyone has anything to say.
Well, those are the stories that go around the group chats, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, oh, he didn't want to do it. He disappeared this one day. Like, that's just weird.
Right. Which is why that one day I just added him to the comp group chat and I was like, yo, these guys are talking, you know, saying that you're cheating. Just fucking do what they're asking. And no one will ever say anything ever again if you're not cheating. So
yeah, I think the only person that still thinks they're hacking is Believe Tekka and Scopes. Well, maybe not all three of them, but I know for a fact Tekka fucking hates my man, bro. Scythe and Big Man. So
wait, why
though? Because they kept landing on each other, and
they landed at Stronghold.
They wiped. So Scythe and them wiped Believe Tekka and Scopes every single game. Like that's why they placed last. They wiped them like every single game, and like Tekka would be like, bro, we're literally playing against a hacker. Like I quote, Tekka said, if Scythe does well, or I think he said if Scythe, Big Man, and them do better than top 7 at LAN, I'm chopping off my balls or something crazy like that. Like, or he said, I have no dick. Yeah. Something like that.
But the thing is, bro, like they're playing on stream though, and like because of all the accusations, a lot of people were watching him. If he was cheating, I feel like someone would have seen something, bro.
Yeah, something like that, bro. So like again, for me, I think for like they have done everything that they could possibly do. I saw them make a crazy ass rotation with a heli, and they just played some good ass fucking COD. You know, they just played some good ass fucking COD from what I saw, and that's it. You know, so I hope. I'll tell you right now though, if they're not hacking, like these guys are going to be really fucking good in a year. Because this is them with full-time jobs, going to school, barely practicing, barely playing any scrims. If they go out and do pretty decent on LAN, and this next year they decide to maybe take it like a little bit more serious, obviously don't quit your school and all that shit, right? But like maybe playing things a little bit more, these guys are going to get fucking good. They're going to get a lot better. So again, I don't think they're hacking.
I actually knew about this Big Man guy for like 3 years, bro.
You know, wait, Flanked, you still think he's hacking, Flanked? Or you think he's hacking?
No.
He does, yeah.
Here we go, boys.
Oh shit. He said, I already told Scythe I apologize if they did this good on LAN, but they aren't going to. They're horrible players. Damn. Oh shit.
I will say,
but how does he explain them playing good on the qualifiers though? We literally all watched them. What does he think they're doing?
They were rotating towards Flank.
He said they're literally hacking, they will get bottom 3. That's what he said.
Yeah, but what does he think they're doing to cheat? Like what cheats does he think they're actually using?
Wait, Scythe is in here too. Scythe said, yeah, because I went 11-1 against him on S&D. Damn.
Damn,
shit. I will say, so I know we were talking about like the whole Abwiz like headquarters like debacle with 3 teams landing there. I will say that these guys I thought they were going to come control center because they were landing there like previously, and they put their egos aside, unlike the 3 teams that were in Europe, and they just went stronghold. And I like, that's just like, again, a testament to like, they're not dumb, right? They're not dumb. They're not like, we're going to go con a top team in qualifiers. Let's just go stronghold, which is an open POI because obviously Falcons weren't in it. And they just qualified. They fought a bottom team rather than fighting a top team. And then that's the whole thing of like, I know that these guys are smart because they didn't do what the 3 teams in Europe did, landing all triple headquarters and not giving it up and just being stubborn. Like, so that team, and then also Pios. I know Tenix and them were landing on rated in them at headquarters, and then they just started landing on another bottom team at docks. So again, like those 2 teams, I definitely tip it because both those teams both qualified and they just dropped their egos and didn't land on top teams. So that's definitely tippable.
I'm excited for this. I'll tell you right now, I'm hella fucking excited for them to play on LAN. And not because like I'm like, I think I don't think they're hacking. I would fucking hate if they are, because like that would suck because I just don't think they are. But like
The thing is, though, if they play bad, that doesn't mean they're cheating.
True, because Dongy played bad.
I agree.
But
There's-
I do think
Yes.
like if they play completely different, I feel like that's different. And like if they just
it's like so-
don't know how to shoot and they like, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead,
I think
Dandro.
it'll be blatant that way. But I was gonna say, Ethan and I were talking about this yesterday, and it's like it's so hard. I'm like so hesitant to use that. Like they have to perform well on LAN if they're doing good. Dude, some of the players that we know have been competing for years showed up to EWC last year and sucked. Like just straight up, right? Like it's hard to like say like proven players who we know are good. So it's like now it's like, are we going to hold that same expectation to players that we know are legit? It's like tough to make that 1-to-1 that's there. I think it comes to like a little bit of the eye test where like you have to watch while they're playing, right? I think that's where I agree. When it's like when they're playing on LAN, show me POV, show me how they're playing. If it looks drastically different than what we saw in close qualifiers, then okay. Then I think we have a lot to like look at. But if it's looking like still the same stuff and they're just like losing fights, that's like, I don't know. To me, that's like looks a little bit different. That's there. But I think we have to be hesitant on the LAN argument. I'd rather be sus, don't get me wrong, because we've had a lot of shitters come through the scene and who don't deserve to be here. But I think it's just got to be a little bit careful when we make that argument.
Yeah, just because
going off
Dongy. Yeah, sorry, Krinkz, go ahead.
Dongy,
Going off that, like you also got to take in mind where they're landing. You know, they're going to be going up against Falcons. Either they, how eBay said, if they're smart enough to like switch their landing spots to like change their playstyle, it might affect them. Or like obviously we're not going to see how their true potential because they are going against the
That's
reigning
if they
champs,
land
you know?
on
So it's
Falcons.
kind of like exactly. So I mean, I feel like they're still going to struggle though because they're going to need to practice a different landing spot and learn how to do that too.
But they got time. They got time. I will say my advice to them is I would not land on Falcons for sure. Like that would be, it's like high risk, not a lot of reward. I mean, I guess you could say high reward. You land on Falcons, and if you dominate them on land, oh brother, you like that's something to talk about, right? If you do bad, people aren't going to be like, oh, they're not going to give you grace. They're not going to be like, oh, you landed on Falcons, that's why you guys did bad. People be like, nah, you didn't show up on land. Like that's what people are gonna say. So it's like
Hector's trying to talk him out of it because he wants them to win.
no, I want them to land. That's spicy. No,
Okay, he's got Biffle right behind the camera holding up a sign like yes, like tell him.
I got a prompter and shit. No,
Listen,
I
big
know,
man, if you
that's
get
bullshit.
shit on land by Falcons, I'll show you grace, bro. I got you.
I want them to land on them. No troll. Like I actually do. I think it'd be fucking entertaining because it's like, bro, that's gonna bring it. That's storylines, twin. Like as much as I love D, you know, hey, I love storylines. That's a good story to tell. And imagine they come out on top, bro. If everything goes well, I will be doing the documentary. You know, I would love to interview them and just talk about their story and shit. So yeah, that'd be sick as fuck. But now let's kind of switch gears now, boys, to LAN, right? We got 4 days of LAN, right? And now JD, or the way that this is format, whoever wrote this, I believe it's 2 days of group stages, and then LC. So it's 4 days, right? Day 1 group stage, day 2 group stage. Oh, there you go. Day 1 group stage, day 2 group stage, day 3 last chance quals, and then day 4 is the finale, right? So we'll have 3 groups of 7 teams going at it. So I'm assuming it's going to be like A versus B, B versus C, and then I guess the final day would be like A versus C. I don't know how that's going to be split into 3 days.
How are they going to do?
Well,
how are they
I
going to
think
make
7
groups?
I think 7
That's my
teams are going
question.
to qual through the first 2 days, and then the last chance is like the bottom 14 scrap out for the next 7 spots.
Yeah. But how are they going to make groups? That's like the thing I don't understand. How are you going to put people into groups?
You're
Is it
right.
just random? This is because this
No,
could be.
not that.
We saw like, bro, we were in a hell group, bro, in groups. We were in like group B, and it was hell, bro. We were in a hell group. So if they're doing this based off points, like, I don't understand how this is going to work, because you're just going to throw random teams into random groups, or like, I just don't know how this is going to work.
I know. I'm not going to speak for him. I know Enigma had come up with some sort of seeding system, and he was talking with them about it and potentially using it. So I know that they're, I think, trying to come up with some level of formulaic way. What that is, I have no idea. That's there, but I know that they are looking at doing not at least random. I don't think it's going to be random.
I don't want to, like, suck my own, what, but like teams that did well in the regional final should be rewarded for like doing well.
Well, what if the groups are random and like FIF and VP are just in the same group? Like, that, just feel like that's just like RNG at that point, because they're just contesting each other.
Well, they might. Like, they might be, because FIFA plays
even
first.
even with seeding though, you couldn't avoid that. That's just luck of the draw. That's why you got to have a backup plan. Like, it is what it is.
Yo, they should do live shuffling, bro. They gotta get 21 balls and put it in a spinny thingy and do live groups, bro.
Dude, we should be able to gamble on it. That'd be insane.
Actually, a couple of
super side note, I don't want to like talk about it too much, but I will say, I know we just got done talking about teams. The one team that really surprised me that didn't qualify was Navi. And I'm sorry to like backtrack here, but that, like, I don't think people realize, like, that's a very good team that just did not qualify.
Wait, who was that?
Because
hey, I'll tell you,
Limax, Levi, and Zeppa. But on the flip side of that, I will say OBS and them definitely deserve it, and they locked in and they fried. So, but I will say Navi not qualifying was insane.
that I love them. Those are the homies. Like, I actually do love them, but they had every opportunity to qual, and they like 3 games before it was game 5. They could have landed on them, because OBS and them were frying. You had to stop them, and they didn't. They didn't. They waited to the very last game when it was too late to land on them. I love them, man, but I don't know why they didn't. But they had every opportunity to, man. And I will say OBS was fucking. That boy was him. That boy was him. So like, the only way you're gonna, especially in that region, and like I talked to OBS about it, he called it like it's a kill race in that lobby. He's like, it's just whoever finds the most bots. If that is the case, right? That's not my words; those are OBS words. Then Levi, Lamex, and Zeppa needed to have landed on them and forced the gunfights to make them. Hey, all right. Like, if we're the only 2 teams that can qual,
Wait, who's
Which they did, but just the last game.
the last game.
Yeah.
Who's Obs with?
Say again, FIFA?
OBS, Teeny, and
And Brycey.
Brycey. There you go.
Brycey.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. So that's them. But yeah, you're good. Okay, so sorry, let's switch back to group stages. So I assume Anxiety, I got you, bro. Text me or DM me and I got you, Anxiety. I'll talk to them. Group stages, day 1 and 2, 3 groups of 7 teams, right? So I assume the way this is gonna work, I guess, how would you divide this into 2 games? Maybe would you play each group twice, you think? So you have A versus B, B versus C, and then A versus C all on one day, and then you do the exact same thing day 2. That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that what we did last year?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what happened last year.
Yeah. Because I remember it being 6 games. It was 6 games the first 2 days, because us as casters split it 3 and 3, but we didn't swap during a break. So I'm pretty sure it was 6 games, and it was like one group. Yeah, it was like 2 games of one group, 2 games of another group, 2 games of another group matchup. So I think it'll be 2 days of basically the same thing.
I hope it's that. I hope it's like they give them, it's a full ass day.
Oh,
like,
that's right. We had the thing of solos last year.
Yeah, the solos.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
You are right, Dandro, about the next day they did it like that, right? So I hope
I think I blocked that part out of my brain.
Yeah, solos was horrible. I hope they find a way. I don't know the exact format, but I hope they find a way to do it to where you play each group twice, and it's not just for like 2 games. Like I think minimum, what boys, 4 games, because that'll be 12 games, total. Good. Like you play each group twice, and then 4 games per group, minimum. I don't know. I'll ask, but that would be a sick format. And then from there, they do, I'm assuming, a cumulative, I don't know how to fucking say that word, or aggregated, that's another word for it, I think, where they combine all the points. And then from there, the top 7 from group stages automatically head to finals. Then day 3 is last chance quals. The bottom 14 teams battle it out, and the top 7 advance to finals. That is going to be 8 games for LCQ. And then they move to finals. Then match point will be 150. In finals, boys, talk to me. What do you guys think about this format? I fucking love this. As long as group stages, I'm a little bit concerned. I gotta reach out and figure out what the exact number is, if there is one, for how many games and shit. I like last chance. It adds high to stakes. And I love finals. It's match point. I wish it was kill point, but match point is cool too. What do y'all think about the actual format? We do have only 10 more minutes, so I'm trying to. I want to get through this last part. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's fire.
I think
it's fire.
Yeah, I think pretty fire. I think I enjoy it. I think we're gonna enjoy the last chance thing, which is obviously the groups. I think the biggest thing is gonna be the group stages, like who's gonna be in the hell group. So I think that's just the biggest thing when it comes to the first 2 days. But I do enjoy it.
There will be a hell group. Know that. There will 1000% be a hell group. I at least hope that FIFA and maybe 100 Thieves are not in the same lobby, because they both want. I would assume that they wouldn't be, or not in the same lobby, but the same group, because they both won their sides of the biggest regions, right? So I would assume that.
I mean, it should be like they normally do it. Like first goes with last, second goes with second to last.
Yeah.
Like 1-on-1 the whole way down.
Yeah, it's just maybe would you say that just for NA and. But then there's 3 groups, and then also there's different regions. I don't even know how they're gonna fucking do this.
I mean, it's tough as well, because I didn't see the scoreboard for the expansion regions, but I would imagine for example, the Australian people
APAC,
probably had insane points, right? How many did they have?
They had 270 or something. It was ridiculous.
But they're definitely not. They're definitely not the best team though.
Yeah. They shouldn't be counted as the same as, let's say, FIFA team, right? Because that definitely is different skills. But bro, again, entertainment, do a fucking lottery system. Fuck it. That would be so sick, bro. Oh, that'd be so sick. Live on stream, imagine.
Dude, they did a thing for the other esports, and I'll be I don't know how it would work for us, but I'm just saying it'd be sick. Or they do these ceremonies where a team picks the person that they want to go against, in their bracket type shit. And I was how sick would that be if it's top 3 of each of the groups get to pick this is who we want? Or what if you went through so it's okay, top 3 of the groups of each group, they get to pick who's going to be in each group, and then those people who were just picked they get to pick the next team that they want in their group. So everybody's just trying to pick the shitter teams to get into their group. So that way they can try and farm. But it kind of creates almost that exact thing, because the top teams are going to pick who they think is the worst team, right? So as the picking goes on, it's inevitably going to kind of even out overall. I think that would be sick and would make for great television. But that's the cast.
That'd be cool. Again, remember, guys, people have to also remember that at the end of the day, this is a business, and the more numbers that this generates, the more they can continue to do it. And so that would be, I think that'd be a cool way to drive more traffic. And you bet your ass people will be watching that shit. There'd be watch parties left and right of people just wanting to see, all right, what group, whether you're a competitor, whether you're like us, that we just do watch parties, people would be all right, boys, I know people all right, fellas, who we got in our group, as somebody spinning a wheel.
We get VP, I'm check.
It's kind of the same thing as World Cup, The World Cup, they get to do a spinning thing, and then, they're oh, okay, we get that group.
Shit.
That would be fire. That'd be fucking fire.
They could do it where it's 1, 2, 3. It's Falcons, us, and then FIFA's team, because those are the top 2 of the big regions, and then Falcons would be another one because they technically got invited. So I guess that could be the 3 groups. I also do think we should have, I don't know if I'm faded. I feel 4 groups would have been fire. They should have had 28 teams qualify for LAN. I feel 21 is just weird. They could have done 4 groups. I feel 28 teams on LAN would have been sick.
4 groups, you're saying?
Yeah,
I don't know.
imagine A, B, C, D. We could have done A, B, C, D, and then we had 28 teams on LAN instead of 21. I feel that would have been fire.
Dude, I kind of like
That'd been
21,
sick.
bro. I don't know.
You like 21?
Yeah, I
Damn.
just feel like, bro, you do 28, then that's more people they're flying out that are gonna lose on the first day. Like, that's tough.
Fuck it.
Like, bro,
Okay,
imagine
we
you,
ball.
like, the teams that don't qual for the final are gonna be checked, bro. You double that amount, like that's 14 people walking around Saudi kicking their feet and shit. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like that's like a win-win though. It's not like you lose anything going to Saudi and playing. Like if they just get shit on, I mean, it's on them. But you could still keep the prize pool the
might
same
get
way where it's
distributed more.
no.
It better
Just
not.
keep the bottom 7 just not getting paid, and then that way at least when you're getting 21st, you got to at least win something to get to 21st instead of just showing up and you get paid. Like that'd be way better. Because like let's say like
bro,
let's
if
say
I
a team
flew all the
actually
way
is
to Saudi
hacking.
and came 22nd, I'd be so fucking checked.
Well, I mean that's how it is. That's how it is with anything though. Like that's how it is with World Series. You know,
Yeah.
you show up to World Series, you get bottom 50%. Like you guys flew all the
Okay,
way to
yeah,
Vegas,
but like,
and
yeah, but that's still like 20 teams though. It's still kind of 20.
I don't know. I think you're
you can be a
overthinking it.
CDL team. CDL teams fly to majors just to get started in losers
Yeah,
bracket.
but
They
they're,
play
yeah, but
one
they're, on,
series and
they're
they're
on
done.
salaries though. They're on salaries. Though.
True.
Like, you got
Well,
these
look,
fucking
boy.
like teams flying out. They're not getting paid. They're missing work for it, and then they fucking don't make any money. Fly home all sad. Like, fuck.
I'll be
that
honest.
Saudi
I,
trip was
personally-
priceless.
I don't think people are gonna be upset about flying, like
No.
or having more spots. At least I don't think so. Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think people would be mad. I will say I really fucking love how EWC is cutthroat. Like I love that it's like only 7 spots NA, 7 spots EU. Like it's hard. It's hard. You know, it's fucking cutthroat, man. But look, fellas, that kind of wraps us up for the day, man. I'm excited for, EWC. That is August 6th through the 9th in Saudi Arabia. That should be fucking fire. There's a lot of storylines here, but fellas, we do have World Series of Warzone coming up, and it's crazy to say that next week the Open begins. Oh my God. Next
Yeah,
Friday.
I mean, bro,
Looking at the schedule, it's
Even
insane.
even crazier. We qualify for World Series on the 29th, and we play the first day of Saudi on the 6th. It is a 7-day period of when we qualify for World Series, and we have to fly out to Saudi and do media. And the day after qualifiers for World Series, we're probably flying to Saudi. Like that's insane.
That is wild. Wait, question for the group.
Yeah.
My team were talking about this yesterday. I think it's kind of insane because, like, if you think about the amount you have to play these TKRs and like the amount of like shithousery that can go on. If you have a team, right, that all qualified or played LAN last year, do you think they should still have to play a time kill race?
Ooh. Well, okay.
It's not gonna be, bro.
Would
If you have a full team that all played LAN last year, whether they were on the same team or not, like, why should they? Like, bro, there's so many VPNing and shit. Like, what is the point?
So I was gonna ask you. Are you saying only if you have the exact same roster?
I think it should be you have to have 3 players on the roster that played LAN. Like, everyone made it to LAN. Like, that's your reward for making it to LAN last year, is going straight to like group stage
Or two
whatever.
of the same players.
Yeah, 2 on the same team or 3 individuals.
Well, then
Yeah,
how,
no,
how
the
do you?
TKR is it's a waste of time.
I mean, here's the thing that I think. Yeah, the TKR sucks. Like I hope that it can switch to the EWC qual format. I'll be honest. I hope that it can switch to that. But the way I see it is, even if you're a below average team, I don't think anybody's not qualifying that. You could like FIFA. My honest opinion.
I don't think anyone's not gonna qual. I think it's a waste of time. Like, bro,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
mean-
it's like hours and hours and hours of everyone's time. It's like, bro, if I don't know, like Falcons is gonna have to play a time kill race. What are we doing, bro? Like, what are we
I think it's
doing?
also good. It's good for the overall product, though. I will say, especially like showing light on teams that are up and coming. Like if you do well in the TKR, your name. That is one way to get your name out there. I know it sounds kind of stupid and like you might not think that, but it is also. We've seen teams that like pop off in the TKR, and at least we cover them on like the Pullze Check at least. You know what I mean? So I do think it's
Yeah,
good for the overall
definitely-
product.
I get what you mean. It's just like, I don't know. It seems weird. Also, like, like you said, the bottom 20 teams don't get paid. So it's like, what did you actually earn from playing really well, being a top 40 team, qualifying, going to land? You didn't earn anything. Like at least let them have a little something for next year. Like fuck.
I will say EU every year for some reason that TKR is a shit show. I know that you guys you guys have
it's
VPN,
shambles, bro.
For EU specifically,
Last year
you guys
we
go
had
through
Showstopper,
nonsense.
bro. Like what was that?
What did Showstopper do?
Bro, they got
remember
one
that.
like I think shows like what, Lebanese, I think.
Yeah,
They got like
Yeah.
one Lebanese player on their team, but Lebanon's technically was part of the European region, so they're sitting playing the worst lobbies you've seen, bro. They're like 800 kills up on everyone else, and I'm
Well,
sitting
and
there like
also,
I'm playing like
wasn't-
diamond lobbies, bro, like fighting for my life for 60 kills, bro. I'm like, what am I doing?
wasn't there a French team last year that had like their viewers landing on them, like mid?
Oh, that
mid
was
TKR?
Chow
that was
did it
Chow,
in
right?
us.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chow.
dude.
Well, that was like 2-3 years ago.
insane.
Yeah.
Bro, and then you had Umpaket had his mods feeding him in Caldera. You remember that? Because that was back when Contract still existed. He finished like super high in the TKR, bro. Someone in my chat came and was like, yo, could you look at this link for me? Send me a Contractor link, his last 10 games. He's like, yo, look at the second place team. He's got 72 kills. Second place is like 0-50, 0-40. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And then you go in his chat and it's his moderators. I was like, bro, what the fuck are we doing?
Oh man. Look, I think when it comes to this specifically, right? Like I hope that the success of EWC quals can somehow be implemented and integrated into World Series. I know it's going to be harder for sure. Like it's 44 players as opposed to 150, right? Like, but I thought it was great. They just have to get good admins to do it. But if not, sadly, it's one of those. It is what it is. Open quals just allows you to have thousands and thousands of players competing and give everybody the opportunity. But yes, I do agree with you, FIFA. It is not at all fair.
I think my point
not
is, right, like,
competitive.
from the TKR, the amount of teams that go through to close qualifiers, bro, there was only 150 players there last year, right? Like, let's say 100 of them take advantage of those spots, because some people have new teams. If 100 or less of those TKR players make it through to the close quals, what difference does it make, bro? Like, if you're at the bottom of a TKR, you're going to get smoked anyway. Like, it's not that deep. Bro, you know what I'm saying though? Like, bro, if you're coming like 500th in an open qual TKR,
Right.
you're not gonna make land, bro. Like, you're probably not.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
I
agree.
mean, it's a harsh reality, right? Like,
I
I'm
will
not trying to be a
say,
dick, but it's true.
some people, I think what most teams are going to do this year is they're probably going to play Friday, get a good score Friday, not play Saturday, and then Sunday see where they sit and then decide whether they want to play or not. We've seen some teams do that as well. Obviously, that would reduce your chances of possibly qualing. But like, I mean, look at who was it? It was ST, and I forgot who was with them.
E700?
But they literally, E700. They were literally the last fucking squad, and they literally had one. They could only play one game. It was like the last 20 minutes of the tournament.
Oh my god.
They had one game, and they needed like a 90 kill win to qualify, and they did it, which was fucking unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
That's ice.
They made it all the way to
That's
LCQ
ice.
too.
Yeah, T dropped the 40. Dropped 40 for the
That is
the qual.
so icy, bro. Yeah.
But look, guys, we have a lot of competitive Warzone coming up here soon. Next week, next Friday, we start World Series of Warzone quals. So just know, be ready, because after that, we got the next week after that, we got expansion region round 1, expansion region round 2, group stages. It's going to be fucking insane. We have a lot of scrims coming up. Be ready. Boys, FIFA, Dandro, Ebatez, Krinkz. I appreciate y'all, as always, hopping on the podcast, man. Everybody at home, whether y'all are on YouTube, where we have Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, everywhere we're at, I appreciate y'all tuning in, as always, man. And we will be back with the podcast, another one very soon, going over pretty much any new updates and anything with EWC or World Series related, man. But in the meantime, appreciate you guys, as always. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Pullze Check podcast, man. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, baby. Peace, peace, peace.